I remember as a freshman going through Bowen Fieldhouse and looking up at the wall and seeing the Hall of Famers in there, people like Dave Purifoy and Bobby Welch, Bob Ochinko, and George Gervin, and to think that I'm on that type of stage right now is pretty incredible.
This is indeed an honor and a very, very special day for me.
It's kind of for the inductees, but it's more for the student body. It's an opportunity for them to walk through history and to recognize those athletes that have set a standard for Eastern Michigan.
I can honestly say some of my best times was here at Eastern Michigan wearing that number 30 jersey and competing for the university.
And I honestly have to say my greatest moment wasn't athletically. My wife, Betsy, and my two lovely children.
I'd like to thank EMU for this award. It's truly a humbling experience for me.
And so, to be inducted into the E-Club Hall of Fame while I'm still alive is really quite an honor.
I owe a great debt of gratitude naturally to my parents, who when it came time for picking a college, gave me such a firm criteria: pick a place where you can be happy. I picked Eastern.
We chatted a second. We talked about old times at EMU. They asked me if I was ever going to return to the NFL. I said, no, I think those days are over. And because those days are over, I thank Eastern Michigan for giving me the opportunity to come here and get an education.
They only demanded excellence from me. They made me realize I was lucky to be a Huron, and they wanted me to treat the uniform with dignity and respect, which I did.
It was then I found out that a Big Ten school was interested in me transferring there. My reply was, you didn't want me last year, you can't have me this year. I'm going to stay at Eastern.
Hey, let's have Melissa steal second. And I had to remind Coach O quite a few times that the reason I hit the ball over the fence is so I didn't have to steal second.
As I'm standing up here, I realize all my fears about public speaking were incredibly well-founded.
Actually, I really wanted to say I'm getting inducted for track, not for talking.
To be from the sport of gymnastics and be recognized with NCAA and MAC champions and record holders, professional athletes.
I tell them, it's not where you start, it's where you end.
In closing, I'd like to leave my final quote that I live by at all times, and that is the making of a champion. Today, I gave all I had. What I've kept is lost forever. Thank you very much, Eastern Michigan.
Joy Inness' class of 2004 was one of the most outstanding women's track athletes to ever hit campus in Ypsilanti. After coming to the U.S. from Tobago, Joy quickly adapted to life in the States and fit in well with her teammates. Her skill and talent helped her to become a great leader for EMU women's track and field.
I would say she was always fairly serious about making it. Joy always had a focus on the future. Joy didn't waste time with frivolous things, and she always knew where she wanted to go, and it was always wherever she was going, it was going to be the top. So she had always had something to prove, coming from the little island of Tobago, where she never even wore shoes until she probably got to the United States when they recruited her, except for maybe spike shoes to prove that she belonged here. But Joy was just simply an incredible.
Joy, like many of her teammates, became a jack of many trades and learned early on that former women's head coach Bob Maybauer pushed his team to the limits. This was on display at the Mid-American Conference Championships in 1991. At this meet, Joy would participate in 5 events and placed in each one, a common occurrence for her.
They had a stellar team, and all of these girls were able to run 3 or 4 or 5 events, and Joy always could run 5 events, and to my amazement, never was injured. The triple jump itself is enough to destroy you. It's such a grueling event, but she could triple jump and long jump and run the 200, and the teams that she helped propel these teams to incredible performances and MAC championships.
In addition to winning 4 varsity letters, Joy was part of a combined 16 indoor and outdoor MAC championships, 10 of which were individual events. It was without a doubt that coaches appreciated her hard work. Joy's career on the track in the early 1990s was so impressive that her name still remains at the top of the record boards in Bowen Fieldhouse. Joy's strength and toughness were always at a high level, and jumps coach Cliff Larkins would agree.
Joy was probably one of the most outstanding all-around athletes to ever walk the halls of Eastern Michigan University. She was not only talented athletically, but she was also intelligent, highly motivated, and a born leader. If you ever have to go to war, you don't want to take a man with you. You want to take Joy, because if times are rough, you can always count on Joy to come through and lead you to victory.
To add to her already impressive resume, Joy earned All-American honors in the triple jump in 1993 and 1994. She also placed 5th in the triple jump at the 1993 NCAA Indoor Championship. These feats earned her Most Valuable Performer and Most Outstanding Performer honors in these NCAA meets. Today, Joy resides in Detroit, Michigan with her husband and children, and is pursuing a more than fitting doctorate in counseling.
She was always on top of everything. She was highly motivated, and she was just influential all the way around as far as the team. She pretty much gathered the team around her whenever things got tough. She motivated them to exceed their level. By the time she was a senior, most of the girls looked up to her and referred to her as Mother Joy.
While women's track has seen many achievements at EMU, few athletes have excelled in the way that Joy did. It is well-deserved that Joy Inness Johnson now takes her place in the E-Club Athletic Hall of Fame. It was clear from an early age that Lindell Reason was destined for greatness on the hardwood, and he did not disappoint when he arrived at EMU. Lindell honed his craft as a child, playing baseball and basketball with his brother at the local parks in his hometown of Detroit, Michigan.
In our neighborhood, the only thing we really had was a baseball diamond and a basketball court. And so we played baseball and basketball. I thought that I was going to be the one that played the sports, and my father used to tell me there were signs that he could tell that my brother Lindell, the little younger than me, was going to be a better player. Something about I would blink my eyes and he would not blink his eyes whenever we would have interactions or shooting or going up for boards or batting or anything like that.
A four-year starter for the Hurons, Lindell was a leading force during the golden era of EMU basketball. With 4 consecutive seasons of 20-plus wins and 2 straight trips to the NAI National Championships, Lindell helped put EMU on the national basketball map, paving the way for future success the program enjoyed in the 1990s. Lindell was also a key contributor to the 1970-71 squad that went 22-11 and advanced to the NCAA College Division Final Four. All of these accomplishments, which included All-American honors, almost didn't happen at EMU. But thanks to some sage advice from his older brother, Lindell ended up in Ypsilanti.
He wanted to go to the same college I was going to, was a junior college, and I would say, no, Lindell, you probably can go to one of these big schools. Look at all these letters. You probably can do that. And he kind of looked at it and he said, yeah, and he decided to go to Eastern Michigan. The thing that impressed Lindell with Eastern Michigan is because the players that he met, Earl Higgins and Howard Hurd, it was 2 or 3 fellas, and Lindell just said, these guys can really play. He wanted to play with 12 good players. You know, it wasn't about who was the star or anything, and he just wanted to be on a good team. He wanted to be able to say, well, we won.
This well-rounded player was a true student of the game. Early on, Lindell knew how to put winning as a team before personal accolades. He was also ahead of his time in his thought process for how the game should be played.
Lindell, from the very beginning, when we were really little, if you were open and you had the best shot, he would take it. Now, if he had a better shot, he would take it. Lindell was he used to think basketball. It was an art to him. He would talk about the little small things that you needed to do. He talked about a guard at a time when the guard was not thought to rebound, but Lindell said a lot of times that the guard can rebound. He talked about defense. A lot of times he would play a game, he hit 20, 25 points, but I said, what's wrong? He said, I really let that guy shoot on me too much. He got away with too much. I wasn't focused on the defense.
A multifaceted player with significant skills in every phase of the game, Lindell currently ranks 10th on the EMU's all-time scorers list with 1,454 points. His 417 career assists is 5th in the EMU record books, and his 330 rebounds also ranks 5th all-time.
He plays piano in the Seattle area, and I was looking up his schedule where he was going to be playing it, and I noticed that Eastern Michigan were talking about record, and I looked in the record book, and I seen him still with, he was numbered something on with points and assists, and I knew he was a good player then. And I called him right then. I said, you know, you're still in the record books. And we all had no idea. So we kind of told the families, and we was amazed. And I told him, I said, man, that is really incredible.
To add to an already impressive list of accolades, Lindell was named captain in 1971-72 and led the team to a 24-7 record. Later, he would be invited to try out for the Pan American Games in 1977 and was drafted by the Portland Trail Blazers and the Denver Nuggets. Even though Lindell was the center of many great teams, this athlete always stayed humble.
He wasn't really the player that liked the spotlight when he's going out and people recognizing who he is. Lindell never did go for that. He was kind of a quiet, shy guy. He's still like that today. He doesn't. He just want to do what he can do and do it well, and then kind of fade back into to where he was.
Today, Lindell resides in Seattle, Washington with his wife and children. Because of his talents at both ends of the court, his unique style of play, and stats that have kept him a fixture in the all-time record books, Lindell Reason is an ideal selection for the E-Club Athletic Hall of Fame. A native of Ypsilanti, Michigan, EMU golf was a family affair for the Reams. His older brother Frank walked the same halls and fairways at Eastern prior to Jeff's arrival. Though he only played 3 seasons for the Hurons before leaving to join the professional ranks, Jeff Ream certainly made his mark on EMU golf. It was obvious to his family early on that they had a golf prodigy on their hands.
My father made a little pitch and putt golf course around the yard, and we learned the basic fundamentals of that short game before we learned how to hit it far, and before anything else. We learned those basic fundamentals, and then he carried that on, and it was rather intimidating even for an older brother to get beat by a younger brother. And I finally realized and accepted it years later. The realization came when we would take Jeff as a high schooler on the east. I was on the Eastern Michigan team at the time, and he would accompany us on spring trips. And he didn't just beat me; he beat everybody on the team, and we had some darn good players.
Growing up as a caddy, Jeff picked up the game very quickly and would become known as one of the best in the community and among the best junior golfers in the region, as he won the Western Junior Golf Tournament in 1970. His winning ways and confident approach to the game made him an imposing figure on the golf course and struck fear into the heart of many of his competitors.
I was in a golf tournament in northern Michigan a couple of years ago, and the pro that was introducing us at the first tee asked me, do you know Jeff Ream? And I said, yes, he's my brother. And he said, I played against him in high school. I went to the East Lansing High School, and when we knew that we had to play against Ypsilanti and Jeff Ream, we were afraid to get out of the car. So Jeff was kind of he's not a tall guy, but he was very intense.
Jeff's mental and physical toughness brought consistency to the Huron squad, and in 1971, Jeff led the team with a 75.8 stroke average. His steady play also helped the EMU golf team to finish 11th at the NCAA College Division National Championships. Here he placed 10th with a team leading 300 total and earned second team All-American honors.
In that time, shooting an average score of 75, you have to realize, number one, the equipment was nowhere near what it is these days, and the training methods. The thing that most people don't realize is those scores were shot early in the spring. You know, in Michigan, coming out in April, the conditions are cold and windy and rainy, and the golf courses are not in superior condition yet. The scoring average of 75 kind of belies actually how good he was.
In 1972, Jeff achieved similar results at the NCAA College Division National Championships, where he led Eastern to a 6th place finish with a score of 305. That same year, Jeff continued his remarkable success as he captured the coveted Horton Smith Trophy and won the medal play portion of the state tournament.
He hated to lose. He will say to this day, he said, I don't want anybody to beat me, and it was kind of contagious. His teammates did follow that. They were very, very close, and they had some darn good teams back in the early 70s. You know, the finished in the top 10 in the Nationals, and all of the real good teams back 30 years ago were coming from the South, and to take a team from the North who had very limited practice time and you know, limited seasons, I think is an outstanding accomplishment. They were very competitive with teams from the South and all over the country, from right here in Ypsilanti.
After leaving EMU, Jeff sustained his success qualifying for 3 USGA Amateur Championships. He also won the Washtenaw Country Club Championship a remarkable 5 times, and was named to the 1975 Golf Association of Michigan Honor Roll. There's no question that with these great accomplishments, Jeff Ream is taking his rightful place as he walks off the 18th green and into the E-Club Athletic Hall of Fame. Upon induction, Sarah Willis ranks as the top goalkeeper to have prowled the pitch in EMU women's soccer history. After transferring from Old Dominion after her freshman year, Willis was determined to be in the starting lineup. From the moment she put on the green and white, this class of 2000 graduate worked hard to get on the field and have an impact for the Eagles.
She really took it upon herself. I remember vividly driving past Cicluna soccer field in the summertime and seeing her doing her sprint work around the field. She got into the weight room and just came in with so much confidence into the fall season. She always had the skill to be a great goalkeeper, but she really needed to get that fitness level where it needed to be, and once she got that, the excitement really started.
After making the necessary changes, Sarah Willis stood out from the crowd in many different ways. Willis grew very confident and had a personality on the field that opponents might have considered boastful. However, it was exactly what the team needed. Standing at an intimidating 6 feet, she had an incredibly competitive nature in games and practice that helped her lead the team to an amazing record of 35-11-6 from 1998 to 2000.
Goalkeepers need to have swagger. They need to be cocky. And if you're not, when the goals go in, you're the last one that remembers it. You're the last one seen near the ball. So again, people are going to point the fingers at you when the ball goes in the net. Obviously in '99, there weren't too many people pointing fingers because we didn't get scored on very often. But Sarah Willis had to have that swagger so that we knew, our team knew, that they could take chances and attack. Again, we were talking about her swagger and her confidence, and so I said, you know, when you come out to win those balls, as you catch them and you extend yourself above everybody, you know, you need to tell them that's not going to happen today. Nobody's going to get on the end of these. Well, Sarah took it a step further. As she came out to catch balls, she would tap players on the top of the head as she caught it and say, you know, is this what you're looking for? Or it's over here, it's in my hands.
During Willis's junior season, she earned many individual accolades, including being selected third-team All-American, Mid-American Conference Player of the Year, and All Great Lakes Region First Team, a feat that she would repeat a year later. Despite her individual recognition, Willis was modest and a true team player, doing whatever was asked of her and trying anything that was necessary for the greater good of the team. This was on display at the 1999 conference tournament, where she would come through the clutch and lead EMU to the national stage.
If you talk to Sarah Willis, she would thank everybody who was on the field rather than herself, even though in the MAC finals we played 4 overtimes and it went into shootout. In a shootout of 5 shooters, you just ask the goalkeeper if they can come up with 1 save, we'll make the rest of the goals. And she was able to come up with 1 save to make sure that we won that MAC championship in 1999 to go to the NCAA tournament.
Willis currently holds the season records for saves percentage and minutes in a season, with nearly 2,000 minutes. She also holds career records for saves percentage, and goals against average. Her developing personality certainly played a role in her success.
We talked about trying to get a little more swagger within our team, a little more attitude, and she cut her hair short. We had this bleach blonde, 6-foot goalkeeper who was coming off her line for everything, winning balls out of the air, just a dominant figure within the MAC. And then she just gradually moved up stats to be one of the most dominating goalkeepers in the country, which at the time, I mean, for a mid-major school, is pretty remarkable.
Sarah Willis will always be remembered as a pioneer for EMU women's soccer, as their first ever All-American, and for taking her place today as the first ever women's soccer inductee in the E-Club Athletic Hall of Fame. Chuck Wilson, class of 1991, was a dominant runner for EMU, blazing a special trail on the ovals at Bowen Fieldhouse at Rynearson Stadium. This Huron won 4 varsity letters for the men's track and field teams from 1988 to 1991. His hard work and dedication is what transformed this somewhat reserved high school athlete into an outstanding sprinter for EMU.
I met Chuck around sophomore, junior year of high school. He was kind of this guy that was kind of new to the school because he transferred. He kind of was quiet, I thought, at the time, kept to himself. And our junior year in high school, we both decided to run track. We did fairly well with our relay teams, and Chuck was kind of our star sprinter both years. And we found ourselves, I guess by luck and fate, at Eastern Michigan.
After redshirting his freshman year, Wilson soon found himself as a leader in this dominant track program. His commitment on and off the field helped him to become a 4-time All-American runner and 6-time Mid-American Conference champion. He took his training seriously, even in some unusual places. But Wilson also found time to have some fun with his teammates.
Chuck was a very dedicated athlete, very hard worker, took training very seriously during practice times and outside of practice times. He wanted to get better and had a drive within him to get better by working hard, training, running, stretching. Often he would sit at home and watch TV and stretch and run different times out in the parking lot of the apartment we lived in before he went to bed. Off the field, Chuck was definitely a jokester. He constantly would come up with nicknames for, our college friends. We would come up with nicknames for him.
Wilson recorded many amazing wins, which included 3 MAC 400-meter titles in 1989, 90, and 91, finishing third in both the indoor and outdoor NCAA championships, and setting a varsity record at Michigan Collegiate Mark in the 1600-meter of 3:04.73 that still stands as an EMU record today. Also upon graduation, Wilson was the varsity record holder of both the indoor and outdoor 400-meter titles that stood for 8 years. In addition, Wilson was the first EMU sprinter to run a 45-second quarter mile while at EMU. Later, Wilson would go on to compete in the World University Games, win gold in the 4x400-meter relay in 1991. With these accomplishments, Chuck Wilson demonstrated the pride and tradition of EMU track and field and never backed down from any challenge.
Once he got to Eastern, he saw the different schools the track team competed against and how Eastern had that track tradition of winning. He quickly embraced that because he has this competitive spirit in him. So, you're at a school that's known to be kind of the best, in track, and then he came in and quickly just absorbed the tradition, and he just took it and ran with it. The guys on the team during the time Chuck ran, everyone was very hungry. We were kind of like the little guys. We didn't get as much as guys at Michigan State with meal per diems and things like that, but we wanted to show that we were just as good and better than some of the bigger teams.
Wilson always gave it his all and would later share the lessons he learned at EMU with children and adults in Ypsilanti. Today, Wilson continues to impact many athletes and scholars as he works as an inspirational speaker in the local community.
One of the things that I respect about Chuck is that he's definitely grown spiritually. He does a lot of talking within the local community schools in the Ypsilanti Ann Arbor area and even to adults. He's had his life experiences and overcame challenges for himself personally, and he passes those on. One of which being, coming out of high school, not being a great student, but his experience at Eastern Michigan and his dedication to want to obtain that degree really pushed and motivated him to pass knowledge on to other young men who were once in his shoes.
The men's track and field program has always been synonymous with remarkable success at EMU, and Chuck Wilson's era was no exception. Today, he sprints through the finish line and joins the many track and field legends in the E Club Athletic Hall of Fame.